back, everyone, to a brand new edition of Getting Color right here on the Big Vito Brand.com. And I am Virtue, being joined by the man himself, Big Vito Lagrasso. What's up, Vito?
How's everything, everybody? I hope everybody's having a great day, great night, and I hope they enjoyed the weekend. Skull Von Crush was in the house this weekend. You did fabulous. Got a good pop from the crowd. Um, saw some old friends. Made some good connects. Things are moving forward. I'm going to be in Philadelphia next week. You believe this?
Ooh, nice.
Yeah. Out of the blue, this guy called me. Wants me to come back to the ECW Arena next Saturday. So
wow, good times. I saw your Skull Von Crush gimmick there, standing in the middle of the ring. It must have been during your ring entrance. That was pretty nifty.
Yeah, thank you. I put it together, and I even showed Jerry Lawler was in the house. So I haven't seen Jerry in a very long time. So I said, Jerry, this is 2023, 2022 Skull Von Crush. I said, a far cry from 1995 Skull Von Crush, right? And then I told the story how I said I just finished a run with Jack Veneno in Santo Domingo, and I called Jerry Lawler at Christmas time, and he said, "All right, it's Christmas, come on down," and I went to do Memphis.
Good time, good memories too. It's cool how that happens. I'm glad to see you back out there doing shows.
Yep, it's good. Let me tell you something. Seeing guys, Carlito looked great. Cage looked great. EC3 fucking leaned out. Everybody's on good vitamins. And I think those are the three guys who stood out the most, but those are the three guys who probably,
Yep.
when you're a pro's pro, you take care of your body, you do what you got to do. And it just, bodies look good. So it's nice to be around guys. And I know Carlito from when my days in WWC, when he first started wrestling, that was like one of his first matches to get him over.
Which is that the in Puerto Rico?
Mm-hmm. In Puerto Rico.
Good times.
So. All right, Mr. Virtue, how's everything with you?
It's good, man. Here I am. You see that it's still a little daylight with this new daylight savings time, so you can see the nice blue sky back there a little bit.
No, it's awesome.
It's cold. I'm just waiting for spring to get here. Northeast Ohio. It's WrestleMania season. Obviously, that's coming up, and we're gonna, one of our topics is something we've continued to talk about and argue about. So we're ready to rock and roll, Vito. I just don't want any more snow.
No more snow for Virtue.
No.
And congratulations on Deshaun Watson being your new quarterback.
Yeah, I'm not a fan. You know what? We'll save that discussion for the next Men of Business.
Yes, we will.
Because, I'm a Broncos fan. Yes, I live here in Cleveland, and I'm a Nick Chubb fan, who's the running back on Cleveland. But we'll talk about that on Men of Business.
Wow. A lot of good things happening in sports. But let's get to wrestling, Virtue. Stop wasting time. Get to the topics.
Well,
come on.
I want to just cover this because you know how we have the fake Vince McMahon Hall of Fame that he does in WWE. It's the Undertaker's year. Vader has been announced. I think we have Sid is a rumor. The first female was announced for it. And I just want your thoughts on Queen Sharmell, which is Booker T's wife. And they had a gimmick on WWE several years back where he was King Booker. I know he says it differently. And she was his queen. So thoughts on Sharmell making the WWE Hall of Fame?
I have been, guys, and this is the true story. I was one of the first. We have a hi, Vito. So glad I could finally make your show. Glad to see you. Thank you. All right. So I know Sharmell from when Booker and Sharmell first started dating in WCW. I've been longtime friends, and I know Booker and Stevie since 1992. Okay. Sharmell was a valet in WCW. She came over and she did, a valet, over in the WWE. She also had she did a little bit in Impact, if I remember. All you can say is congratulations to her. It's really not, does she, how, what, where. She made it to the Hall of Fame. You can't knock anybody for making the heights like that. What can I say? I mean, I know them a long time, so it's like, everybody's deserving to get recognition. So she deserves recognition for being in the business. Congratulations.
Yep, and I always like to do shout outs like that. I mean, that yeah, obviously I hate when we have to talk about people passing away. So it's nice to know in the Hall of Fame when they're selected and they're able to go in and do their speech and they're here to celebrate that. So just wanted to
Yeah,
do a shout out.
the thing with Vader, and a lot of guys, he and this is not talking bad about this. This is what I have to say about Vader. When you're that big and you're that, and he was a certain way with people. He wasn't a people person.
Yeah.
He was a big son of a bitch, and a lot of people were afraid of him. Some people weren't. And the way he associated himself with people, he rubbed a lot of people the wrong way. Then when it came time for him to finally get recognition for what he accomplished, they would say, well, you were a jerk to us all these years. You think we're going to put you in the Hall of Fame now because you're dying? No. That's just the way it is. It's the way it works. If you're cool with people, you get good things. You know what I'm saying? So, when Vader is going to get recognized, is his son going to be there? Are they going to do a Stan the Man Stasiak with Sean Stasiak and not even invite him to the ceremony? You remember that? Do you
Yep.
remember that? Now, if anybody doesn't remember, Sean Stasiak is the son of Stan the Man Stasiak, master of the hard punch, 1973 world champion for 10 days, beat Pedro Morales, right? His manager was the Grand Wizard. When they inducted Stan the Man, they did not invite Sean Stasiak to the WWE ceremony. Now, there was some bad blood there with Sean and the office. And, it was just, it was kind of sad because he should have been there. Even if they would have just flew him in just to be present, that would have been fine. But it is what it is, guys. That's just the wrestling business. But congratulations to Charmel. I hope she enjoys the evening.
Now we got a couple AEW topics here to
Go ahead.
discuss. So the first one is Thunder Rosa just defeated Britt Baker on Dynamite to become the AEW Women's Champion. And they were in a cage match. And we talked about this on the sit down. And I wasn't a big fan of, it was like a spot match and the flow in between the spots was bad. So they used thumbtacks. And it's, on social media, you have fans and people calling them out, hey, those thumbtacks are fake. Okay. For years, Vito, everyone would say, oh, you cut yourself, you bladed, whatever, the people do in the business to get color. I want you to tell me and everybody here, why are these girls, both of them, going online and letting those people criticize, saying you use thumbtacks, fake thumbtacks, and they're like going online and arguing about it? Like, oh my God, like just ignore them. Right? That's what, fake or not fake. I don't care. You're supposed to protect yourself in wrestling. I don't care how you do it, as long as it looks good. Why are these girls going on social media, all offended by what these, zip it. I know kayfabe's dead, but come on, man. What do you think here?
I'm going to say this now. I want everybody to pay attention to this. Okay, you have thumbtacks, which are metal. You have thumbtacks that are plastic. Right? Both of them have points on them, and both of them are going to stick inside you. Right? If you have the metal, that'll slide easier, and it's like a pinch. That plastic is going to hurt just as bad. I'm not kidding you guys. Do you know how many times, before I get to the other thing, that there was a plastic chair and guys were doing hardcore, and they swung a plastic chair. When you swing in a plastic chair and you're sweating wet, you slice and you get a deep cut. I've seen guys slice their heads open and it wasn't the intention, or slice their backs open. Guys, that's the plastic, fake, not fake. It is still being used. I don't
The
understand what
water
fake
bottle
is.
against Terry Funk. Was that
Yeah.
not hard? Remember the big water cooler water
Yeah.
jug? Didn't you get hit with
Now,
that?
yeah. How many times did I get hit in the head with a water jug? I want people to go home and try it. I took a few shots with it and I still kept rolling. And that wasn't just like a tap. He's swinging away. Garbage can across the head. Not do you feel it? Do you know how many chair shots I've taken across the top of my head and stood there like a bull? Right? It's not fake, people. There's nothing fake about being hit. Can they say, oh, it's a fake kendo stick? What's fake about it? It's still a stick. It's still coming across your body. You're still
Leaving
harming
marks
yourself.
too.
Right? And then when they say the table is fake, what's fake about going through a table to the concrete? And we just saw Big E get demolished on a suplex, and that was on a pad, on concrete, on a suplex, right? Guys, there's nothing fake about using plastic, metal, anything. It's going to cut you. Now, my take on the girls defending themselves on social media,
Yeah, I'm
common
interested in
sense.
this too.
Common sense. We have access to social media, right?
Mhm.
And when you have a voice, now this is too much voice for the business. Before, you didn't have all this, and people just have to say, hey, they could just talk in silence. Annette says, people don't get it. I admire all you guys. Do these people who say fake to experience? Nothing's fake about using anything. You're 100% right, Annette. But when you have access to social media and you fight back and you defend your craft, you're defending something. I don't think the girls, and this is out of the utmost respect for the ladies, I don't think the girls should be doing hardcore. That's my opinion, right? But if girls want to do that, that's fine. My opinion, and that's not saying that girls shouldn't be hardcore or anything. That's not it. You could be a phenomenal women's wrestler without doing hardcore wrestling. If you know how to wrestle, you don't need hardcore. This comes a quote from Vince McMahon when I was with Nunzio, and they were trying to think of something for me. I said, Vince, I says, if you want me to go back and doing hardcore, I said, I used to do the hardcore stuff in WCW. He says, Vito, he says, you don't need hardcore. You can wrestle. Hardcore is for guys who can't wrestle. True statement, not a bullshit.
Yeah.
So, guys, when you talk about stuff like that, just look at things and try to be kind to people, because you know what, the job is hard enough, and when you put your body through it, as a lady, you're scarring yourself. You might not think so now, but those scars will be nasty. Maybe one day you're going to look back and say, what the frig was I doing?
I've heard Al Snow say the only thing fake about a wrestling match is the finish. Everything else is real.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everything else is real. Everything else is real. What else you got there, Virtue?
So this guy is getting pushed, and he won the brass ring, the brass, whatever that is in AEW, and he's a bigger guy. And we've always kind of questioned all the bigger guys that have gotten pushed, like Hager, Lance Archer. It's all fizzled in AEW.
Right.
Cage, right? He's a shorter guy, but he's stacked. He's huge. Now you have Wardlow, who's coming off of a pairing with MJF, and I just want to know your thoughts on him. Like he's from the Cleveland area. They did a lot of indies around here. Now he's in AEW, and will he become a big deal there? A big guy, big looking guy, different style in the ring type, which is what AEW really isn't about. Do you think that they'll take advantage of that and give that brand something different with him in the main event team at some point? Or do you think down the road, WWE could snatch him away? Because he's got all those tools you think of Vince McMahon would look for. What's your thoughts, Vito, on Wardlow?
I am going to give you the best scenario for Wardlow. First, I'm going to read from MM Band Don Savage. I never enjoyed hardcore. Hardcore, I didn't like seeing guys actually getting hurt or bleeding. Props to the guys and gals that can and will do it. I just don't like seeing people feel pain. You're absolutely right. There's no room for that in wrestling. Now, here's my take on Mr. Wardlow, right? For him to make superstardom, everybody listen. He needs a manager. He needs that talk piece. He needs a veteran presence to guide him. I'm not talking about Ric Flair with a woo. I'm talking about a hard-nosed guy to come in and help manage him, an experienced wrestler with a good name to take the reins and direct him and bring him to a championship. Not a sidekick because he had that with MJF, but he needs a manager to negotiate with him and put him to the top.
Now,
Remember
when you
when
say that, are you talking
Go
like
ahead.
you mentioned like a wrestler manager that can come out that's always been a good mouthpiece for themselves, but then you have the Paul Heymans type people. I don't know if those really don't exist anymore
You know,
outside the few like Paul Heyman, but which way would you go?
if Arn Anderson, I'm going to take Arn Anderson. Arn Anderson wasn't the right manager for Cody Rhodes because they tried to play that nostalgia, Dusty Arn, Blanchard, tried to go the other way. Now, if you put a serious Arn Anderson with this kid, with serious promos, him not being involved in the matches, coming out and dressing proper, not in just your street clothes and not just coming out. I'm talking legit.
Yeah.
That is the way to go with this kid. No bullshit. I'm speaking truth from the heart. If Arn Anderson was to be the mouthpiece for him, that would be the right mix. You know,
See, when I see like if he existed in the golden era, Wardlow's the type of person a Bobby Heenan family. You know what I mean? Like I just that would have been
but
perfect.
those managers don't exist no more, and
No,
they don't.
you're right. I don't. I wish they did,
No, yeah, I'm agreeing with you. I'm agreeing with
and it
you.
would be nice if somebody would make an exception to the rule and try that one more time. But like you said, a worker, a wrestler that can talk, that's retired, that has the knowledge and experience, that would be fine.
If you had somebody come out in a suit and tie, just for say, all right, let's just say,
I
let's
mean,
just
we only really have on the mainstream. We really only have Paul Heyman. I mean, there
right.
might be another one or two floating around there if we dig, but you're right. It's a lost era. They're usually
If
wrestlers or females with these guys.
just for say they put me in a suit and tie, and I was going to be the spokesperson for this guy, right? And I come walking out with him, hold the rope, do his talking for him, negotiate his contract. People believe because they know my work ethic, they know my toughness, they know I'm no bullshit, and I'm with the mob, the Big V Mafia, right?
Yeah.
But it would be a legit talk. If you put somebody who's legit there, not a goofball, you get him over faster than you think. And I'm not saying he's got to have a manager the rest of his career, but he's the type of guy who needs a spokesperson.
And there is one exception to your rule, I think, that would work.
Who's
This
that?
is now this is if Wardlow's being portrayed as a babyface, which is what they're currently doing. So, a babyface, you're kind of more open on who your manager could be. I think an Enzo could work too. I know he's not your now Enzo. If you told him to come out and dress in a suit, do the hair up, he would, but that's not his gimmick. But like you said, there's possibilities here, and I think Wardlow could be a guy, Vince McMahon, if somebody ever shows him anything, I could see them try to get him, try to snatch him away at some point.
Enzo has still got that talent to where he can entertain people and he could be in the ring and wrestle. And if they ever care, if they ever said, whatever he's got going on, right? Let's say you forget the past and you say, we're going to create a cruiserweight division in AEW,
Yeah.
right? out for the tournament. The last guy to come is Enzo. The place would go nuts, right?
Yep.
Would he carry that division? Absolutely. Because if they made him the cocky champion like they did in WWE, everybody would watch.
And his rating, his segments back then with that cruiserweight title were the
Yeah.
highest on the show, and he
Yes,
was
sir.
top 2 in merch. And Vince
No, it
made,
would be a go.
I'm
I mean, this
surprised he
is,
hasn't went back yet. Like,
but this is a good
oof,
conversation because now we're talking about specifics and you're talking about
yeah,
people, who have a chance to, reach the superstardom level. So, you know, on Anderson, if he went back to the Four Horsemen era, just like Ric Flair, guys, remember Ric Flair when he was Ric Flair? Talking about the 80s, the 90s, even the last days of WCW, right?
yeah,
That was Ric Flair. I was in the ring with that Ric Flair. I watched that Ric Flair. That was the man. You saw him coming. You knew. It was respect. The
hmm
Four Horsemen, respect. That respect level in wrestling is not there no more because there's not a good stable. They don't let them sit. You take the New Day as a stable, but they were fun times, goofy, pancakes, cereal. It was a different stable. You have the head of the table, right? But it's not a staple, and it's not a group where they have four guys because they have Paul Heyman and nobody could speak for them because the Usos want to be gangster,
yeah, always.
always want to be gangster. This is true. But then you have Roman Reigns who can speak now and can do a promo, but they still need that one head, that old fashioned guy to be with them to like give you that extra oomph. You know what I mean?
Yep. Well, and they're portraying like a mafia boss group and they always have the guy that delivers a message, which is what Heyman is, right?
No, you're
So
right.
that makes sense for that group. But
No, I'll tell
heck,
you this.
I could see Wardlow and Roman Reigns down the road, or Brock Lesnar. I really could. I mean, you got to give guys chances to
Yep.
grow and prove themselves. Remember how the old WWE system worked? What you came up, you squashed guys,
Yep.
then you won the Intercontinental Championship, or you might have been in a tag team with someone. Then you would maybe get your shot at winning a Royal Rumble and maybe becoming a world champion. They don't really do that anymore.
I'll give you something here, right? Let me tell you something. You have that D'Angelo guy in NXT, right?
Is that
Now,
the Italian gimmick?
the Italian kid, right? If they put me with him, that would be a stable setting for him. And then you could add. So if I was with him, you'd say, okay, this is going to be good. That kid would skyrocket and he would leap to the main roster. Right now, I don't think he's doing anything much in NXT because he's young, he's inexperienced, he doesn't have that guidance. But if you put me in a suit and I say, okay, let's do this, now I was going to talk for him and negotiate his contracts, I'm going to put him to work, and we do some gangster stuff, like real mafia stuff,
Yep.
that would get over. It
Yeah, and it's
would.
not like you would be Mr. Hughes where you didn't say
No,
anything, you just looked like a bodyguard.
no, I'm talking actually coming out in a mafia suit, three-piece suit. That I went to the show last night, right? I drove my Mercedes. I had my Yule Brunner shoes on. I had $1 million short set on. I looked like $1 million, right? I walked in. I seen the guys. I was Rolexed. I was I was doing my thing. I even had new luggage. Can you believe that? It fell off a truck.
Did it
But
match your Skull Von Crush colors?
yeah, I mean everything was coordinated. Everything was coordinated. But I mean they didn't have valet parking. I was kind of upset with that. But hey, you got to do what you got to do.
Yeah.
But I like to park my own car anyway. I don't like nobody in my car. So, but but that's but that's what you need. You need that aura. You need that look. When you walk in a building, you do something. You need that presence, and that's what guys today are missing in the business.
Well, Vito, this all came to a head here for our main event, and it's been reported. So we can always still say allegedly, but Cody Rhodes is signed with WWE. That's
Okay.
basically come out over the weekend. We don't know if he's debuting at WrestleMania, which is the rumor. You got Seth Rollins, who has an opening spot there, or the next night on Raw. So, Vito, we're going to do the whole 99% confirmed because multiple dirt sheets talked about it. So I'm going to say that it's true here. But I'm always going to leave that 1% chance that it's not. It's a bunch of BS. Cody Rhodes is with WWE. I know we know your take on Cody, right? He
Right.
wants to be he's a what? Small fish in a big pond.
Mm-hmm.
Well, he's back in that big pond now. What is going to go down? Are we going to get the Stardust gimmick because it hides the neck tattoo? It's a Vince McMahon thing. He can do this with the WrestleMania logo star like he does. Or are we going to get the Nightmare Cody Rhodes? And is this going to be WrestleMania or Monday Night Raw after?
Guys,
I mean, it's going to happen. I think we got enough info at this point.
is Cody Rhodes really a tough guy? No. Is he a big guy? No. So right then and there, you're going to say, okay, where could you push him to? Because the two biggest guys are Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar.
Yeah.
They're also pushing that guy, Otis, his name is, the Nigerian guy.
Oh,
Omis, right?
Otis is the tag team with Gable.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
So when you look at that, they're pushing that guy. They have
Lashley, who's on the shelf, but he's there.
Braun Breaker is a big guy. Okay. Where would you put him? He's not he's not, the heavyweight champ type. Plus, when I seen the rumor that he signed for $3 million a year, that's $3 million per year.
You say where would they put him though? Like, so say he doesn't get that super big main event spot right away. This is why he might face. You got the guys like Seth Rollins, Kevin Owens, Finn Balor, AJ Styles. Like that's where they would put him, right? Those are guys he's worked with in the past. A lot of those are Bullet Club members. That's probably where he. And the thing is, if you put Cody with those guys, there's a chance WWE is going to put him over those guys to build him up to the guys you don't think he'll reach, just so they can beat him. That's basically what I've been trying to tell you. That's the path I think that's going to happen for him. They're going to build him up against the guys I mentioned to make him look like, well, he's beating these names. Seth Rollins is a former champion. Kevin Owens, you know what I mean? Yeah. To go to Roman and have Roman beat him. I don't know. That's just what I think. And he's obviously may be okay with that. You don't even think that'll happen, though. Is that what you're saying?
I don't even think that. I'm telling you.
Okay, that's fair.
I don't see Cody Rhodes by himself. What is the flavor does he bring to the table?
Well, that's why people are calling me nuts. I think the first time we see him back in WWE, we're going to see the Stardust gimmick because WWE knows it's going to be like, people are going to be like, what? This is what you're doing with Cody? Because it's a WWE thing. I'm calling Stardust is what I think for that first initial appearance with the glitter coming down.
Do you remember he hated that gimmick? Do you remember him documenting in print, I hated Stardust. Why? Because he was in his brother's shadow. He hated it.
Now, but another thing, I swear he pitched. He wanted to be Stardust on one show. He wanted to work both Raw and SmackDown, and he wanted to be Cody Rhodes on another. Two different characters, two different feuds. He wanted to be both. Now, I think he was sick of the Stardust, like you said, being in dust and shadow there. But I could see him, because think about it. If he was the two different personalities on both show, one on one show, one on the other, he probably could have maybe been like, hey, who else has done that? And I'm sure there have been people, but
yeah, but hold on a second.
I think he'll do Stardust is what I'm saying. I think he'll do it again.
Now,
people are talking in the chat.
I think that Finn Balor is 10 times the better worker than Cody Rhodes. And Finn Balor also had that what is it called? What was his other gimmick? The
The
demon,
demon.
right? Now, if there was going to be anybody to do Raw and then SmackDown, it would have been him.
While that's true, Cody talked to Stardust though, where Demon didn't. So they could get, you know how WWE with their TV and the weird things, the skits, the vignettes, the promos.
Yeah, but with the cinematic stuff they have, right? If they did cinematics with him on SmackDown and he actually went on Raw and wrestled, okay, that's two different things. That's a lot of work. That's a lot to put into somebody.
Yeah.
Okay. And just like they said, sorry, just like they said with the amount of stuff they have to put on him, the makeup and the stuff, it's like a half a day to color him.
Oh, for the Demon Balor?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a big.
That's a half a day's worth of
Yeah.
work. But you're going to invest in somebody like that who's supposed to be indestructible, but then he's going to be, getting the shit beat out of him on Raw. So
That's
you
true.
really can't have that. You're going to have two the same guy. So I understand what you're saying.
Well, and I'm
But
not saying that will happen. I've heard that through the
no, but I've seen you.
grapevine that
I
that was
think your
pitched.
concept is good. Your concept is good. Now, if it was me,
Like I'm
right?
curious to see how this is all going to happen because Cody Rhodes has a lot of doubters right now, like a lot. And
Yeah,
that, you know me, that like Baker Mayfield, that really in football. I'm not a Baker Mayfield fan, but I want to see this guy go to another team and be good because of his doubters. That's how I feel with Cody Rhodes. I love that redemption story of the chip on the shoulder type. And that's entertaining to me when guys can pull it off that a lot of people don't think have what it takes. That's kind of why I'm so pro Cody, I think.
no, I hear you, man. I hear you. I just think that, I
But yeah,
just
well
think
put though. I mean,
I just think
he,
that if WWE, if there was ever a chance that we could see Gold Dust again, that was probably that's my favorite gimmick, Gold Dust.
Gold Dust, the original run of Gold Dust
The
was
original Gold Dust,
so revolutionary.
right? So,
Pre-attitude era too. You know what I mean?
and if you had to put that on TV today, if the AEW, but he doesn't want to do it. He hates it. He just wants to be Dustin Rhodes.
Yeah, that's
Don't you
true.
see like the character change? Like people want to be them, but the money is with the character. And then it's his character, but then they don't want to be them. So what do you do?
Vito, we're gonna have a lot to talk about after those 2 days of WrestleMania. We got the Roman Brock thing you and I are going back and forth on. Cody, if he shows up, we got to see how the Austin thing ends up with Kevin Owens. I heard
That's
that's
it.
closing night one, not the Rousey Charlotte match, not a match, but the segment. That's
It
rumor,
should.
but
It,
it's Stone Cold. Yeah, I mean, I don't
it
have a
should.
problem with it.
That should be the main event. So I'm going to put this out there.
Okay, this
I
is
am
it.
not booked WrestleMania weekend. I am not booked. Everybody and their mother is booked. People who are not even wrestlers or not even people who are not even in business, they're booked.
Oh yeah, Johnny Knoxville.
So, guys, I'm available for WrestleMania weekend. All right. We could work out a flight, hotel, booking fee, and we could do this. Or even if you fly me down just to watch it at your house and we'll have a watch along, that would be awesome.
Dude,
So, listen, guys.
great show, Vito. I mean, you have anything you want to say in closing? I know you kind of already did what's on your mind throughout the discussion
Yeah, it
tonight.
was good. We had it. This was a great discussion about a lot of good topics, guys.
Yep.
And just follow us. Virtue comes up with the topics. I come over here and I secretly dabble and do my research. And
Yep.
Virtue says, "I didn't know that. Where'd
He
you
lets me
find that?"
know when I miss something. Yeah.
But here's the thing, the famous line of all us scribes. I got my sources.
Yeah. Well, that's why I'm throwing that 1% doubt that Cody isn't signed,
That's it.
but they all like once the one guy breaks it, then they all get their sources to confirm. So I feel pretty good about this one. I think he did sign. How long of a contract? Who knows? Probably like 2 years. He probably left himself an out clause in case he wants to go back.
Jericho happened to say something on one of the things I read.
Yeah.
He said in a few years he's going to realize he didn't have it that bad. And a lot of guys think like things are bad, but they, you always say, if I would have stayed. In AEW, he had it pretty good. He wasn't the star that he was
Oh,
supposed to
Cody.
be. Yeah. He wasn't the star because he's not a star player. I've said it for all the years he's been there. He's a mid-card guy.
I'm not saying he's a ultra main eventer, but I want to say he's an upper mid card guy when needed. I think he can at least do that.
Right. But even like when he was on the Indies, right? Because he had the name Rhodes, he was on top of the indie scene because, okay, indies and working for companies are two different things,
That's
right?
true.
Companies have guys who are definitely, you're going into a talent pool, and everything you did on the indies when you make it to the WWE or ECW or WCW or TNA right back in the day, all those things are left in the door. You got to start all over again. And that's the
Well,
truth. That is the
former
doggone truth.
he's now a former EVP of AEW, not counting his wrestling work as the TNT champion, and he could very well be main eventing Monday Night Raw, or at least in the upper mid card. So we got to
But if
see how
he,
it plays out. We got
but
to see what
even
happens.
but even if he's upper mid card on Monday Night Raw, what does that bring to the table?
I don't know yet, but I am anxious to see. I think this run he'll get that spot. It might be brief. It might be against like the type of guys I mentioned. And then when he gets fed to the bigger guys, he'll start losing. But I'm kind of excited to see because you know me, I like to do the I told you so's, or I could be eating crow. So we'll see.
I'm going to tell you something. You, like I said, could if he thinks he's that big of a star and he thinks he can go and main event something with Brock Lesnar, you are absolutely out of your mind. I wouldn't pay a dime to see that. I just want to go look at the results. Winner, Brock Lesnar.
See, I
That's
didn't
it.
even say that. You know me, I didn't even say he's coming to main event anything with
No,
Brock. I was being
but
very,
when you
very
talk about
modest.
it, and he is a nice kid, he's a nice guy. He comes from a legendary family, right? But you got to know your place in wrestling. It's just like I used to say for myself, right? I could be any kind of champion. I could be U.S. champion, Intercontinental champion, hardcore champion, tag team champion. For me to be world champion of a company, it would have to be the right place at the right time because I wasn't the biggest guy, I wasn't the smallest guy, but I was a workhorse.
Yep.
And I could work up and down the card. And I did main event Nitro, and I did main event pay-per-views, and I did do these things, right? And I showed what I could do if I had the ball. But was I in that thing with Steiner and Flair and Luger and Nash and Hall and Hogan and Macho and everybody else who was on top there? Goldberg, I'm forgetting Goldberg, Sting, that's a lot of people to fight through
That's
at
true.
that level. You don't even have that today.
Noel was saying, do you think they will make Cody get super glue and glue Triple H's throne back together?
I'm telling you right now, guys, there's going to be retribution for that. There is. And you're going to see it. And you heard it here on Getting Color. I told you so. They're going to take him back. They're going to blow smoke in his ass. And then they are going to embarrass him.
And I think that'll come at the expense of Roman Reigns, but we'll see. We got plenty to talk about on upcoming editions of Getting Color, of the sit down, you name it. So, Vito, I
That's
know
right.
you got other show to do tonight with Matt. I think you guys are going on in about a half an hour.
Yes, sir.
Want me
Virtual,
to go ahead
great
and
show.
close?
Great show. Good stuff. Thank you to the guys in the chat for participating. We love you guys. Thank you for being there. And thank you for coming to the show last night. For all the people who came to cheer me on last night, thank you very much and much appreciated. We got a lot of good things coming up. And, we'll see what happens. Go ahead, Virtual. Close the show.
Be sure to follow Vito on Twitter at the Big Vito Brand. Follow me if you'd like at NoDQ_Virtue. Check out the Patreon, which is patreon.com/Big V Mafia. For Big Vito, I am Virtue. This has been Getting Color right here on the BigVitoBrand.com. And we will see you next time.
Hey, did you know I photobombed people last night?
I saw one.
Great.
Great.
Take care.